All right.
Busy.
Hello, everyone. Hope you all are well. Welcome to webinar this afternoon, where we're going to talk all about Xero budgets, tracking categories, and we'll go over a case study, generating a report as well. Now, in this webinar, we're going to talk about management reporting, but you could use tracking categories for your financial reports as well. So keep your mind open. There will be, we did this webinar a couple of months ago, and this webinar gave people a lot of ideas which they could use back into their reporting. Before we get started, my name is Neha. I run Future Proof Accountants, where we assist accounting practices with teaching, training, and doing lots of webinars and training courses on systems and practices, so to ensure that they have efficient accounting practice. But my main focus is systems. Cool. So a bit of housekeeping before I go into the content. So everyone who has registered, again, that's on the email address that you registered for this webinar. You will get recording of this webinar along with the slides after the webinar. So before the end of day, that's what we aim at. Also, in that email, there will be a 15-minute link. So, you know, with the thought that you came to this webinar, we want to make sure you're all happy when you go. If there's any question that remains unanswered, we will have questions in the end. But if there's anything that remained unanswered, you can book a one-on-one with me using that link for 15 minutes. There's no extra cost for that. That's it. Let's get started onto the real deal. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to go over Xero tracking categories. How do we set it up? In what all transactions can it be used? And then we'll go over Xero budgets and how do we use budget one, obviously for overall, which is pretty straightforward. And then how do we use it for tracking categories? And then we'll go over reporting where it can be used, and we'll go over a case study together. Let's start with tracking category setup. So the reason why I think tracking category is such a sensational topic is also because a lot of add-ons for reporting, they actually get information from tracking categories as well. So it is a good place to amplify your Xero. So we'll go to settings, and in here, advanced settings, and there is your tracking categories. Now, before I get started on tracking categories, I'm just going to give you examples of some of the live examples that I've actually seen people use it for. Feel free to put in the chat box your experience using tracking categories if you already have. So where we've seen this getting really, really well used is investment properties. If you've got clients with, say, 10 investment properties, you could use it for that. Car yards, where they have to have profit and loss for separate profit and loss for car yards. Different trading names under the same ABN, and they want to see different profit and losses and balance sheet, fixed asset register, etc. And then different projects and jobs, also different locations. So those are kind of the most common examples where we've seen tracking categories work really well. Again, obviously, there's always going to be checks and balances that we have to do to make sure it all matches up. Cool. So the limit to the category options is 100. So for example, there's region already here, and this is exactly what we're going to use for our case study as well. We can add a new, so there can be only 2 tracking categories. Let's just say we've got, this is a legal firm, and say there's 2 products or services, you can call it. And then one is, say, compliance, or take it as a bookkeeping practice, whatever you want to call it. And there is advisory. So I want to look at profit and loss for compliance and advisory separately. And what I can also do is I can specifically see how much advisory has made at East Side, North, South, West Coast, how much I have made in compliance in all those locations as well. So you can do that. But first, you want to think it through, because there's not more than 2 options you have for creating tracking categories. Now, you can use tracking categories in various transactions. And what I would recommend is once, again, depending on, whether you are doing the book work or you've got the bookkeeper or client is doing their book work, you want to give them the appropriate training on how to use it, because the bookkeeping will change, right? They have to just add a few more things. So for example, they can use it for spend money. Let's just go smart agency, let's just call it advertising. So here what I'll say is, okay, this was for East Side and this advertising was for advisory services. Okay. And then I can do the same thing with receive money. I've got that, sales, and then I can decide whether this is for advisory and which location is this for. So you can spend money, receive money. You can use this for invoicing, quotes, bills. So I won't go into too much of detail, but maybe I'll just do one as an example. So when someone is creating new invoices, they can just pick up the region and the product here. Similar processes for quotes and bills. I'm just doing one bill and one invoice, just so we could look at the reports as well. And the other good thing is you can actually do this for fixed assets as well. The other thing I had, I actually have another, like a consulting client, and we all have these days, staff obviously working from home. So they've actually started putting staff members as tracking categories to actually have a fixed asset register. So with fixed assets, basically what you want to do is, again, I'm just editing transactions, so you can create them obviously from scratch. I meant to go to fixed assets. So if you think I'm talking too fast, let me know. I'll slow down. Or when you rewatch my video, you can slow my speed. Then I'm in your hands. Say we've got this laptop here. And then I can say this is for sales and this is being used by a compliance team, for example, right? I'm just going to make it to July because I was hoping to create July reports. So once the depreciation is run, let's just do this. It will then have, even on balance sheets, so once you have different, if you want to have a look at the different balance sheets, have a look at different balance sheets, you'd be able to do it that way as well. But again, data entry, to get to any result, we want to make sure the data entry is done correctly. You can also use this for payroll. Now, payroll is an interesting one. You want to make a decision. There's obviously two ways you can do it. One is you can say, okay, I've got 8 employees, 4 are for compliance. Sorry, I just need to go back. 4 are for compliance and the other 4 are for advisory. That's actually a simpler setup. So all you have to do is you come here and go employee groups. I want to decide on products basis, right? So then you can pick which 4 employees are for compliance, which are on advisory, and process payroll that way, okay? With that, what will happen is the total wage and super will go to that profit and loss, that product's profit and loss. However, it's not that simple, right? Generally, what I've seen is people, when they are used under the same umbrella, they would be working, say, a couple of hours in this business, couple of hours in that business, or couple of hours in this location, couple of hours in that location. So depending on that, if that's what you want, then you want to have, say, region is based on timesheets. This is just an example. Actually, it should be the other way around because, yeah, they're different regions. So you want to make a decision on that. So, but then the timesheet categories would only work if they actually put through the timesheets, and they put through which product were they working, which one were they working on, type thing. if they don't use timesheets, it's not going to work. So then once you've done that, you want to go to employee. And let's just go to James. And under employment. Sorry, it's Thursday. You can have employee group here. So I can say, okay, James work at Eastside. And then I can go back. I'm just going to look for the same calendar so I don't have to do 2 payrolls. And then I can do that. This also works. Oh my God, I forgot to give the example. Payroll tax. So if you've got clients where they've employed all over Australia in different states, or same goes with New Zealand. If I'm not sure with the tax compliance on New Zealand with payroll tax, but Australia has payroll tax, state tax. So what we do is we basically then have got regions as states, and then at the end of the month when we have to have a report for each state payroll, we basically generate a report on that. It's really has become so simple. If you already don't use that, if you use that, awesome. I'm just going to process a payroll. Oh, here, perfect. So we've got that. So I'm just going to process this one. That'll be in August. Now, if you say you've got this idea and you want to process payroll, etc., using tracking categories, what you want to be careful of is that anything prior to the making the change, anything, so before posting payroll, so in this example, before 14th of August payroll, whenever James and Oliver has been paid, it is not allocated to the employee group. The only way to do this, if you really want to do it, obviously, if you're going to use it for full financial year, the previous payrolls, the only way to fix is through a journal entry. There's no other way to do it. In journal entry, you can put the product and put all the tracking categories. So that's the only thing I wanted to mention here. Now, so we've got all that. So I'm going to quickly show manual journal where you can have the products and services, etc. Let's just have a look at this one. So you can actually just do the same thing here as well. You can just say that this was loss. That way it's right there. And I can add both as well. Now, let's just say, and I think that's going to be the most common thing in with the people who are here, is you're probably going to set this up and train someone to do it. But obviously, at the end of the day, we all are humans and we all can make mistakes. So find and recode. Before you even publish the reports, I would highly recommend using find and recode. So what I mean by that is, say, for example, I know that everything that's sales, so I would use something like this. I will check all the transactions that are sales invoices and credit notes for the month. Say, for example, we do it for July to date. And then I want to say, okay, where products are not assigned. This is my check, okay? This is my check that every invoice had to have product and they're not assigned. So what I'm going to do here is I'll go, okay, I know that this is this is that. So basically here you can just fix it straight away. And you go recode and you go products and you go advisory. So this is highly recommended. We use this for a lot of clients, and especially one religiously, they have really big projects. So instead of using Xero projects, because of the reporting, we use tracking categories for them. And let's just put this to products. So you can fix the history by this as well. Right? And you can do the same thing with regions, right? So I'll just do one and then we'll move to the next bit. We are very good time-wise. Any questions related to this topic, feel free to put them in. Yeah, so let's just say I'll put here, let's just go inside. And then we do the same thing. The idea is you want to make sure that everything has got assigned category. Because if you do, so this is one check, because if you don't do it, then obviously your profit and loss total versus profit and loss in tracking categories is not going to match up. And that's your other check. That whenever you do profit and loss for tracking categories, you want to double check the total with that as well. If there's something missing, it's generally, something got missed in tracking category. So if I had to do this job, so I would just basically go to type and keep checking on bills. You can check receive money, like you can basically any transaction, you can just go here, find and recode type thing. That way, it's all there. Cool. So I'm just going to do this one and then we'll move on to the budgets in a minute. So yeah, so basically that's the way you're going to enter all the transactions, and then that is again, you can have those checks available as part of your working as well. That way nothing gets missed. The next thing we want to talk about before we get onto the reports is budgets. So it's a budget season anyway with new financial year. So you want to go to Budget Manager. And when you go to Budget Manager, so this is your by default overall budget. Sorry, this is your by default overall budget. So this is basically for the full business, irrespective of tracking category. So I'm sure you all are well aware of this. If you're not, let me know. So basically what we tend to see, what happens is you basically export it into Excel or CSV or whatever. I'll just put it into Google Sheets just for the ease. And it decides not to work for me. Amazing. Let's just export it into Excel. And I'll show that to you in a minute. So basically you can export this into Excel and then change the figures, import it back in. Otherwise, you can basically put figures here as well. I have not seen anyone actually putting figures manually in there. No one has time for that. So anyway, so that's what I've seen, like people would just export that and then import that back in here. But just for the sake of example, I'm just going to, so there is your template, CSV in Excel. You can change it and bring it back in and import it back in. Give that a go. If you've got issues, remember those 15 minutes, you can use it for that as well. So what I want to focus on is our budget, which is going to be for tracking categories. So this is why I said it's really good for any products, any department. If you've got departmental reporting, you can have departmental budgets here as well. Let's just say I want to have a budget for different regions, the east side, and then I want it for advisory, okay? So I'll call it advisory at east side. That way, you can have sub profit and losses, etc. as well. So I know it's a new practice. I'm hoping I guess budgeting or forecasting that I'll earn $5,000 a month, and that will increase by $2,000 a month. And then we'll just maybe do advertising, and then just say again, because we are new, we might need to spend more money, and just it's going to be say $1,000 consistently. This is a very small example. I'll just add one more. But my main idea is to show that you can actually create budgets for every tracking category. So you can also decide to do, okay, I'm just going to have North, budget for North. You could have it for all products as well. Yes, Justin, is there any problem? I can see you raising hands. North, all products. So, and you can have it for some products in all region as well. So it depends on how you want it. Okay, actually, I don't want all products. I'm just going to go compliance. Justin, sorry, I saw your hand raised. Is everything okay? And then you can basically go, okay, that business has been there for a while. And I know that we'll start with $10,000 and then increase by $2,000 each month. And I'll just put it to advertising here. We don't need much advertising. People know us really well. And we'll just go by fixed amount and go save. Cool. So that's basically your budget, and you can go here, check your budget, look at the budget summary report. So you can have this for each category, right? Which is, I guess, this is quite like it. And I've seen this being used very, very well with marketing agencies, etc. as well, because they have budget for each job, etc. So if you use like it for projects or jobs, because projects does not have budgets in there. So if you use tracking categories for projects, you can actually have your budgets and actuals as well. Cool. So moving on, what we're going to do now is I'm just going to go over the reports that you can generate. So we're going to spend about 10-15 minutes, and then we'll move on to the case study. But as I said, in between, if there's anything you want me to show again, or you've got a question, feel free to put that in. Sure. Okay, great. Thanks. That's a great question, Justin. Which profit and loss report with the budget manager use as default? You can, and can you change that? So I was going to show, so Justin, let me show the management report and then I'll come to your question, okay? So with your management report, which is inbuilt one, what you can do here is, say, for example, we are creating a report for, let's just go, you can do July, but I was hoping to actually put in August as well. Main reason is because I know that we've got some figures in August for payroll from memory. So you could have executive summary as an overall business. Then you can have your cash summary. Again, with your cash summary, you can have different cash summaries. So this is for the overall business. Let's say this is one report where we're going to have everything. So what we're going to do here is you can either go here, edit layout. I just need to move a few things. All right, so what you can do here is, so this is your total August, and this is your monthly average. What you can do here is you can go, okay, I want to have a cash summary of East Side. Okay, so then you come here and you go, okay, I want to have cash summary of North. Now your checks should be, if everything has to be under everything needs to be under region, your check obviously is that matches up with your addition of all those regional cash summaries. So we go region. So you just go here and select the region. Okay, it's up to you if you want variance. It's completely up to you. I'm just going to delete it for the moment because otherwise there'll be too many things here. And then what you can do, it's completely again up to you. You can have total here, but this is, if you're going to present this report, you might as well do it this way. Come on, move. Sorry. So again, you can double check that everything is kind of matching up. Cool. I'm getting really good questions, so I'll come back to those. Cool. So let's just update this. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is you could either have cash summary overall, then next cash summary region wise, and next cash summary product wise, right? So you can have different categories, or you can have one cash summary report for everything, all the region and total. You could even have all the products right here as well if you want it that way. Okay. I'm just going to save it as draft, because if you've attended my webinars before, you know how much I don't like if things do not get saved. Okay, so I'm just going to change the name here, and then I'll move on to profit and loss. See, this is why I save. And then you just, if I hadn't saved, I could have lost all my work. So I went to draft because I saved it as draft. So I went to draft. I love it when issues happen during the webinar. And see, didn't change the name. Cheeky. Let's just save now. Okay. Now, the next report is profit and loss. You can do the same thing with profit and loss. And I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to have my profit and loss for August and July, but I will also have my profit and loss. I'm just going to add products this time. I'll have profit and loss for advisory. Then I'll have profit and loss for compliance. And as I said before, you could basically have it for regions as well. You know, you can decide, it's your business. I mean, it's your report. But what I would do is I would recommend, just because otherwise it'll become too much. So maybe you have one profit and loss for regions and one profit and loss for products as well. Okay. So you can do that. And then you can do the same thing with balance sheet. I'm really enjoying those questions. Keep them coming. The good questions actually improves the quality of webinar as well. So we'll do the same thing. Again, really, if you think about it, your balance sheet, profit and loss, anything, it's all going to rely on how you have entered the data, but you do have the ability of putting all the tracking categories right here. Okay. It will also, and yes, any other ideas you're getting while running this webinar, because when we had this last group, they kept coming with more and more ideas. I was just like, oh my God, we are so creative. So profit and loss. So the reason I'm getting this now here is just to have the budgets there. So let's just go into, yeah, we'll just have the right month here, and we'll go edit layout. We'll go budget comparison. And then we'll just go here. What you can do is you can go August and you compare that with the overall budget. And then we could have another budget, advisory at east side. So what I can do here is I will also go here. Hang on. No, tracking category. This is going to be an interesting one, so what you do here is you go east side. Actuals are going to be an issue here. We've got here, east side, August 2022 budget, and we've got actuals here for east side, and then we have actuals here for advisory. Yeah, I think they don't have actuals here. Yeah, so you'll either, okay, This is a good one, a good problem that came up here. I'll actually check if we can do that. I don't think we can. So I don't know if you can understand the problem that I can see. I'm sure you can see it too. So here what we said was we've got budget for advisory in East Side. But when we and again, so to compare the two, we obviously not going to compare apples to bananas. We want to have actuals, which has East Side at advisory at East Side. But we can't do that. The way this is working is we can only have one tracking category. That's a limitation here. One tracking category at the moment, right? Like at one point in time. So that's, I'll go back and check and message you all if there is a solution for that. But that means all we have to do is we have to make sure we have budget for different tracking category, one tracking category only. Otherwise it's not going to make any sense. You know what I mean? So you could still have it if that's required, but it's just not going to give us those results. Cool. So sorry, just going back here, I just wanted to add variance. So what you do here is just come here, go to the columns and go variance and go actuals minus budget. So what I'll do here is I'll take variance and I'll move it here. Okay, and then you can do the same thing with the others as well. The other good reporting, which is really operational, not so much of management report, but could be as well. Looking at EH receivable and payables, say for example, they have different admin person in East Side, and you want to make sure that, you know, you can just do this report and check how they are doing. So you can have different receivables and payables report for each region, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. So what you can go here, do here is you can go, this is the East Side. And then save as draft. And you could have age receivable, like you can then just go into add a report and go age receivable summary. And then again, do it, say, North, right? And we've got update. And again, we just save this. Cool. So I guess the reason why I actually worked on the management report is because we can actually go over all the reports here together and see where we can use this, right? So again, you can publish it if you wanted to and have this ready, right? I'm just going to go over questions. Case study that I've built, it's very similar to what we've already done. It's basically like just more of some revision or a summary of what we've already done. So let me go to the questions and I'll get started. Okay. So first question is, which profit and loss report will the budget manager use as a default? And can you change that? So Justin, does your question mean which is a default profit and loss with the budget? Sorry, I need to go home. Sure, go to profit and loss. So when you go to your normal profit and loss with these new reports, and you look at on the left-hand side, see already there is budget variance right here. This is one report. So I'll just go over a few. And then you can decide. So you've got your July, August, and year-to-date right here. Just did that help what I just said? So you could have, so you've got your budget variance right here. What you can also do with your existing profit and loss let's just go back to the original one. What you can do here is you can edit layout. You can just create a custom profit and loss, I guess is what I'm going to say here. Profit and loss budget. So the one that's available on the shelf, I call it, which is, inbuilt in Xero, that's actually fine to be used as well. But what you can do is you can create your own as well. So you've got your budget here. And then you just go your variance if you wanted to. And then what you can do here is you can go, I want to have year-to-date actuals. And then you can have your year-to-date budget. Then you have your variance. You've got your actuals minus. So when you run this report for September, the year-to-date, if you use these date ranges called year-to-date, it will actually pick up from 1st of July to 30 September. So wherever you can, I know it can be hard work, but if you can create processes in your place, in your office, how to create these reports and get one of the team members to do it, they will love it because it's something different. And you kind of get consistent reports. Now, you can create you can and cannot. So I know that again, I'm not sure if you all use Xero HQ reports for your financial statements. If you already do, these reports, because budgets is specific to the client file, especially if you're using tracking categories, you won't be able to create these reports at practice level. So yeah, these will be the ones that you're creating at each of your client file. So I'm just going to quickly do quarter to date as well, just so I can show the whole thing. And then we can move to the next question. Is that making sense, Justin, in terms of answering your question? So you've got your quarterly as well. And then you can just name here quarterly variance, etc. So once you've created custom reports, please save it as custom. And I would just recommend just putting your practice name there, just so you know that you've created it yourself. And then what it will do is it will start having, let me refresh this page. It will start having your custom reports right here as well. So it's either here, the common formats just come on the left-hand side now. So you can just go in here. You can go to the other reports and then edit them to include budgets as well. That is definitely possible. Sorry, I'm just double checking something here. Yeah, so you can click edit layout and add your budgets here as well. Justin, does that answer your question, please? And then we'll move on to the next one. I've got an amazing question while Justin, you have a think. I'll leave this window open and go to the next one. For people who have a lot of categories, is there a way of bulk ads? I'm 99% sure that you can't, but is there anyone else who has done it, who is available here? Let's quickly go and check it if we can. I have never been asked this question before. So, but I think it's a great question because it's, especially if you're moving from one system to the other. Let's just go here. Yeah, see. No. But can you please email me that question at education@futureproof accountants? I'll double check if there's any other way. I don't think so. Like if it was, it would be right here. Like it would be right here. Okay. So your question, the next question here is, so I'm sorry, I don't know your name. It's just coming as anonymous. Can I do the same for cash flow statements? So what you mean is in terms of tracking categories. So statement of cash flow, sorry, it's right in front of me. Couldn't see it. So you can have cash flow statements for, say, different products and regions, etc. as well. So let's just go here and don't do filters right here. Let's just see. I'm pretty sure we should be able to do it, edit layout, and have like total and then different tracking categories. Yeah, so it should be okay. Yeah. So we'll be able to do it with the cash flow statement as well. And you can have as many regions and products as you like. I hope those questions are answered. You can do a thumbs up or etc. Or say yes, all good. Cool. So keep those questions coming. Before we move on to case study, as I said, case study is more of a summary of what we've done today. Is there any other questions you have before we move on to this? Cool. All right. Let's just do this. So one last thing I do want to mention here is, yes, I did give you find and recode as one of the checks. The other checks I think would be useful to do is when you do your management report or profit and loss, and you have all the regions, always, and again, if you know that every profit and loss, you want to make sure that your total of advisory and compliance matches to this figure here, or all the regions matches to August here. So you can do two things. You can either create a control report. The control reports are basically quality control reports, where you can check, you can have some reports that you're going to generate as part of your quality control before you generate management reports. And in that, you could actually, what you could do is you could, I'm quickly going to show this. Sorry, can't help it. I've just had this idea. I've done this training course for medicals where I've created some control reports. So I just remembered it would be actually useful. Say, for example, this is a report just for your internal checks. I'm just going to delete this one right here. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that these two Augusts are, when I add them up, advisory plus compliance. So I'll just go total products. Okay. You can either do this, and then I want to add another formula. Check. This should be all $0. And you go August actuals minus the total. Okay. If you create something like this could become like a really good control report. So we did a quality control webinar. I think this would be a good addition to that, where you can actually see if it's not 0, and then you can actually see, okay, there's something not right here, right? So yeah, so I hope you liked that idea. Cool, so this is all saved. All right, no more questions. Cool. So let's just go over the case study. And again, what we're going to do is we're just going to assume that here, let's just go here. We are going to assume it's a legal practice. Again, don't go by technical side of things. Just try to understand this is more just as an example. So what we'll do is we know that we've got this legal practice, east side and north, and advisory and compliance are mainly two products, right? And we're just going to go from scratch, where we're going to create codes, etc. And we're just going to create some transactions and create some reports. That's why I said it's very similar. If you've got questions in between, keep them coming, please. So let's just go in here and we'll just go create codes here. Of course, before that, you want to make sure you've created your tracking categories, which again are right here under settings. I thought that would open up by itself. So you've got tracking categories. In advanced settings, when it opens, you can have it on as well if you change that all the time. Let's just you can remove these as well. Okay. Let's just say there's 3 of those, and then you've got products. Okay. And then we'll just go over first. Okay. So just go new quotation and or engagement letter or whatever you create, but you can always use Xero as well for that. So we're just going to. Oh, this is clearly not legal work. We'll just call it consulting. Let's just say it's commercial law. I don't know how much people charge. So this, say for example, this is sitting in West Coast or say North, and this is advisory consulting. And then if there's any terms and conditions or files that I have to attach, I'll attach. Again, if I'm doing this only for internal purposes, I'll just save employees. And then mark it as sent if I've already sent this in an email, right? If I'm going to use Xero to send it, which is not a problem. A lot of service-based industries are actually using Xero to send their quotes as well. So just go send, and then it comes, basically we just send them an email with our engagement letter, if you want to call this as an engagement letter. We'll just go mark as sent. And then if there's any changes, we can make it right here. Or what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, now that we've done the work, let's just say we've done the work, I'm going to invoice the client, and we'll just go create drafts. All the information has come in. Just whatever, approve. And again, we can then go in here. Say, for example, this was a job done by one of the team members, and they put their timesheet through. So on advisory, I'm just changing a little because we have done a bit where we used payroll summary of employees with payroll categories as region, but we haven't done it as products yet. So let's just go this person. So now when they add here, they go, okay, I worked on 17th August, 5 hours on advisory and 2 hours on compliance. Okay. So you can do that. So this is what is actually going to, if they're working full time and part of the time is going into advisory, part of the time is going into compliance, this is the only way to do it in Xero. And then when I go pay employees, and we'll just pay that employee. Yeah. So that's come through timesheets. that we've already done. Let me just pay run. So now everything will get divided into the correct categories. Again, if you have any bills, etc., if you do purchase orders, you can do purchase orders, but if you've got any new bill for the job, we're just going to focus on a job. Anyways. Cool. So I'm just going to go, this is for laws and this is for advisory. Approve. Of course, they don't match. Sorry, it was supposed to be 550. And again, I think we've gone through the budgets, etc. So we'll just say, for example, they purchased a computer or something for Northside as well. We'll just register a new asset. I'm not super creative with these things, so bear with me. I won't add some, yeah, I won't add warranty, etc. here. Again, this is hard. Like you want to see how you want to distribute your assets, like whether you want to do it through products or region. Where do you actually want to do that? So again, we've already gone through the budget manager. What I want to go through is really quickly profit and loss and balance sheet, and just go over North's sides. Say, for example, we go and so just go today, and then I want to look at advisory. Okay, so you could create separate balance sheets for advisory here. Okay, so see how it's got accounts receivable because those are the invoices that are done, accounts payable, that was the bill, etc. Okay, so you could either have one balance sheet for each category, or you could basically edit layout and have balance sheet and have, like the total balance sheet, and then you could have it for different tracking categories as well. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened. Did I not do the regions? Did I do the date by any chance? Let's see what's the problem. As I said, it's always good to have problem in the live webinar because I have no choice but to solve it. Maybe it's here is a problem. That is quite odd because it should allow us. Oh, there you go. I think it needs patience, which I clearly don't have. I'm sorry. Okay, so you can have different regions right here when it comes to your balance sheet, and same thing with your profit and loss. A normal profit and loss, you can just change things in here like we spoke about. So let's just quickly go to North and advisory. See, when we were talking about the budget, you could actually, yes, here is where we can use it. So we did here profit and loss for product where it's advisory and region where it's North. And when we edit layout here is where we can use our budget, which is for advisory at east side. You can do it for North as well, right? So I guess what my point is, you could still have like a common two categories, actual and budgets. Yes, I hope that answered your thing as well. If you had that in my mind, I had it. It's like, damn it, how do I do this? because this would be really a good thing for a lot of you where it comes to your advisory services for your clients. Would you agree? Like, would you use this somewhere? You can put it in the chat box or raise your hands or say hooray if you like. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to stop for questions. Yes, Justin, thank you. I thought it was only me who gets excited about these things. Very good. Cool. So we've got 5 minutes, guys. If you've got any questions, anything you want me to repeat, ask me any challenging questions. That is the only way to solve these problems. And also, I do want to mention, if you really enjoyed this webinar, found this useful, please, there will be a Google review link there. That always helps me with my encouragement on any other topics you think you want us to cover. We take recommendations and suggestions very, very seriously. I shall wait for your questions. So it's a great question. Can you do budgets for projects, not by financial year or quarter? So Sheila, thank you so much for your question. So when you say budgets for projects, do you mean Xero projects or projects under tracking categories? Projects and tracking category, yes. So you can do budgets for projects, but you have to do it by date. How else would you do it? Do you mean you want to do just total? Oh, so your project could be, okay, I understand. So your project could be, say, for example, you've got a budget for a project, but that project could go for 2-3 years, right? Let's have a quick look. I think that's another very good question. I love this group. You're coming up with some really amazing questions. So you don't have to go by financial year, first of all, I'm pretty sure. So you could have here like up to 24 months. So for example, yeah, that's the last, like that's the max it's going through. So you could go have a project here, like a project tracking category 1. And then you could go July through to, yeah, up to 24 months. So that's kind of, yeah, so Sheila, you can do it. Yeah, but you will have to kind of put it, oh, sorry, I missed all these discussions. Yeah, you kind of have to still put it through the months, but this is up to 24, so you should be able to, yeah, so you have a total budget. What you want to do is you can put it in different months, or in, say, for example, you do, this is, I think, might be useful, Sheila, for you. And again, Justin, I'm really enjoying your discussion. So feel free to, guys, just say things on this. What you can do is you can have, so budget, you can either, again, say, for example, you have got $300,000 to spend. You can either divvy that up into, say, 24 months. And then always when you're doing the project report, you go year to date type report. But even though you can do year to date, you can also do from, say, from the duration of the project, so 1st July 2022 to June 2024, and then you'll have both budgets and actuals. So that would be a good one for you, Sheila. I hope that made sense. So you can always do like a total report rather than doing monthly or quarterly or financial year report, because you can customize the dates. Sheila and Justin, did you like that idea? And anyone else, please input as well. Yeah, love it. Cool. report on today on a weekly basis. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, Sheila, I think. But if you want to book in that 15-minute session and share your screen, I can try helping if I have any idea. Okay, if that's okay, if you're comfortable with that, you can definitely do actuals on weekly basis. Budgets are on monthly basis in any accounting software. But that's another good question. We can check if we can have budgets on weekly basis. So yeah, feel free to book that time in. Right. Yeah, thanks, Sheila. Yeah, so as I said, you can book in a time, and anyone else as well. If you didn't get the question in your mind while the webinar and you have a question while looking at the recording, feel free to book that 15 minutes in. Please have a think about giving us a Google review if you enjoyed it. And if you've got any suggestions on how else we can improve or what other topics you would like to hear from us, please send us an email at education@futureproofaccountants.com.au. And I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much. It was lovely to have you guys here. And I've got someone said something. Yeah, sure. Cool. All right. You all will be getting recording before end of today. Thanks very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.